Good afternoon, teacher. Today I am going to talk about the lesson plan number 4. It's very interesting this lesson plan that I choose. So I am going to start saying the objectives. So through this lesson, students will be able to, in their skill writing, students will be able to write new vocabulary about objects, the classroom. In the listening, students will be able to listen new vocabulary about classroom objects. So it's so interesting. In the speaking, students will be able to learn to speak new vocabulary about classroom objects. In the STIF, the methodology and strategies, the methods I use in this lesson plan were audiolingual methods and total physical response and communicative language teaching. In the strategies that I use in this lesson plan was, for example, the solo work or all class work. So it's interesting. In the step of the anticipatory set, here I am going to do a warm-up activity with the students. For this, I am going to ask the students to stand up to sing a song. We call it Good Morning Teacher. This in order to motivate students with this beautiful song so they can enjoy this time and they can ready to start to learn the new topic. In the Steve, the main teaching input in this point, I am going to present the topic to the students. For this, I have prepared excellent material so that the students have an idea of what we are going to learn in this class. I have prepared excellent didactic material to the students to show the students to make the subject more understandable to the students. I am going to show some image by means of the presentation of slides with graphic objects that exists in the classroom. So continue with this lesson in the step of the modeling is so interesting. For example, in this point, I am going to indicate all the activities that the student have to do in this section. I am going to ask the students, for example, can be to form groups, can be 2 or 3 students to carry out this activity. So in the step of the guided practice, for example, when the students have already formed the groups, I am going to ask each group to draw all the objects that are in the classroom, and they will have to put the, the name of each object. So in this activity, all the time I will be monitoring the the activity so I can answer some question the students we they can have any question. So I will answer your questions. It's so necessary this step in the lesson plan. So I would like to continue with the next step in this lesson plan. In independent practice, this important point, I am going to send the students an extra class activity so that they reinforce their learning on their own. This activity is very necessary for the students to reinforce your knowledge in the topic. In the the assignments, in this section, I am going to evaluate the participation of each one of the students. That is to say, here I am going to evaluate different parameters. For example, I am going to evaluate the participations of the students, the each group. I am going to evaluate the participation of each group as they work as a team. So it's very important to know how the students work in group. So in the step, the last step in this lesson plan is the closing, review and follow up. I consider this step is very important because of the lesson plan I am going to develop feedback. Also here I am going to ask the students to say the name of each object in the classroom out loud to reinforce the pronunciation, the vocabulary they learn in this topic. Well, this was my fall class as a main teacher. To develop this lesson plan, I investigate the methods and strategies that are appropriate for the ball developing a successful class plan. This time I create a class plan for first year high school students. To do this, I choose a topic about vocabulary in the classroom of the objects in the classroom. And now I am going to talk about the positive and negative aspects of this lesson plan. I consider one of the positives of this lesson plan was when I used the guided practice. I asked the students to form working groups by affinity or however, or it's up to you, I say. They like or wherever they like. I asked each group to draw all the objects that were in the classroom and they have to put the name of each object. I monitored the activity, the class. Since I was able to efficiently guide the activity that I asked the students to do. Now I am going to talk about the negative aspects of this lesson plan. I consider, for example, one of the negative aspects of this lesson plan, maybe when I use assignments in this section, I evaluate the participation of each student. That is, here I evaluate different parameters. For example, I have evaluated the participation of each student. So, because here not all students were fully in the group, so some students don't receive good grades. However, this lesson plan I consider was a very illustrative and met the goals and I wanted to achieve. So this class was very interesting for everyone, for everybody, so they can learn the new vocabulary, the objects in the classroom. So it's so important. I am so happy to be it is this lesson plan. So this was my 4 lesson plan. Thank you for your attention.